Hello, hello, everybody. So let's go ahead and get started. I was going to have Mike. Whoops. Okay, there we go. Let's do our opening prayers. Here's the great earth filled with the smell of incense and covered with a blanket of flowers. The great mountain, the four continents wearing the jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayame. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, compassion, knowledge, and strength, the Dharma, the enlightened side of truth, and the Sangha, the community of realized beings. From the virtuous merit I create, from the practice of giving with the understanding of emptiness, moral discipline with the understanding of emptiness, patience with the understanding of emptiness, joyous effort with the understanding of emptiness, concentration and wisdom, may I attain the state of a Buddha for the benefit of all living beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, compassion, knowledge, and strength, the Dharma, the enlightened side of truth, and the Sangha, the community of realized beings. From the virtuous merit I create, from the practice of giving with the understanding of emptiness, moral discipline with the understanding of emptiness, patience with the understanding of emptiness, joyous effort with the understanding of emptiness, concentration and wisdom, may I attain the state of a Buddha for the benefit of all living beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened. 2. The Buddha, compassion, knowledge, and strength, the Dharma, the enlightened side of truth, and the Sangha, the community of realized beings. From the virtuous merit I create, from the practice of giving with the understanding of emptiness, moral discipline with the understanding of emptiness, patience with the understanding of emptiness, joyous effort with the understanding of emptiness, concentration and wisdom, I will attain the state of a Buddha for the benefit of all living beings. So, let's go do some rejoicing. Who's going to start? Let me see. Well, we'll start with Katrina. She's on the top left of my screen. Katrina, what do you have to rejoice about today?
Good evening, dear Lama Sumati. Good evening, everybody. I'm happy that I feel healthy enough to be on the lesson, and I'm happy that we are all here, that we will study this course. I'm happy that I communicated today with my mama. Thank you for this class.
Well, you're welcome. Okay. Svetlana. Now, what's the difference between there's a Svitlana and a Svetlana? They pronounce the same?
Svitlana, that is like another person, yes?
Yes.
Um,
I pronounce it Svitlana instead of Svetlana?
Svitlana, I think it's from Ukraine because we don't have this letter
Oh,
in
okay.
Cyrillic.
Okay.
So Svitlana and Svetlana, yeah.
Okay. So what do you have to rejoice about?
Yeah, dear Lama Samati, thank you. I'm rejoicing that we have these precious teachings, and today we had class with dear Lama Sarani with studying a book which Geshe Michael translated, Illumination. So that is very, very sweet and wonderful. And also, I'd like to share some good experience to rejoice about. Like I was thinking about clothes, new wardrobe, and then I watched in Instagram Reels, with Geshe Michael, and it was taught that we are not supposed to have many things. We need things which like serve us long time. And like also I remember such phrase like trust seeds, so don't worry about clothes. And then yesterday was such experience. I was in a rush in a business tasks, and then my colleague is telling like, let's go to buy a sweater. And at the same moment, my father is calling me and sending pictures of sweater and trousers. And then it's like, okay. Then we went to the shop. We chose a sweater which is like fitted her perfectly. She decided to buy, and then she's telling like, oh, I need maybe a coat. So she winter jacket. So she chose winter jacket that was very beautiful. And then father is telling, there is such a jacket. This shop is closing in Russia, and there is just one size, one model, a huge sale. I think you should buy it. Like, and then colleague is telling, I need trousers. And so at the end, my colleague bought sweater and winter jacket. And my father bought me at the same break time sweater and trousers. And he decided even to gift it. And then like jacket. So, and I think it's wonderful how karma is ripening, because like I'm supporting another person and she's interested in buying sweater, trousers and jacket. And I have seeds that are ripening, that someone is taking care about me to buy me clothes, exactly sweater, winter jacket and trousers. So I'm very, very grateful that we have these teachings and we can observe such miracles.
Well,
And
that's the
okay.
whole rejoicing program right there. You were helping someone else, rejoicing in their getting what they need, and boy, it ripened right away. Now, some would argue that that can't possibly be from what you did for your friend, and maybe they're right. I don't dwell on that. I just rejoice in the karma ripening so quickly, and that's wonderful. That's a wonderful story. Wow. One size across all of Russia for that coat?
They mean this brand will not continue their business operations in Russia. So maybe not just one size of this model in those shop. It was in another even city.
No.
So just it means that this brand is exiting the market of the country, I meant.
Well, okay. Is that because it's some garish color?
Garish color?
Like bright orange or something?
No, it's like beige, closer to
No.
white.
Okay. I was just kidding. Okay. Katya, you're up next.
Hi, hello. Well, I rejoice that I started doing my 6-time book, and I'm really happy about that. And I dedicate it so that every people can live an ethical and a happy life.
Are you using the electronic version or the manual version?
Manual.
No, I don't know if anybody's using the app I made, but anyway. Well, good.
I don't have it. Maybe if you can share it, I will use that.
Well, Svetlana, can you send her the link?
Hi.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We need to modify it. It's an interesting story. So we create this app to help people with the 6 times book, and the guy who did the coding disappeared. We can't find him, so we can't modify the app. So I'm trying to get one of my students in South Africa to build a new app to replace it. And I need to write myself a note. Keep forgetting to do that. I will email Claire and get on that. Anyway, so okay. Now let's see. Daria, what do you have to rejoice about?
Good morning, Venerable Sumati. First, I rejoice I finished essay 11.
Wow,
Uh,
very good.
Thank you. And today I worked with children with different health disorders. And yes, I'm very tired, but I'm very happy because they tried to huge me after the lesson and smile, and some uh, show me a ton children.
I'm not sure I followed that. You got a hug from the kids?
What?
You received a hug from the children?
No, I work with children in the hospital.
Oh,
At the hospital, yeah.
oh, good for you. That must be quite
Yes.
rewarding. I imagine
Yeah.
they really appreciate having some attention. So good. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for doing that. Okay. Let's see. We have the interpreter. We have Evgeny. What do you have to rejoice about?
Всем здравствуйте.
Hello, everybody.
Я хочу поделиться
I
сегодня
want to share with
историей
you the story
меня и моего
of
кармического
me
партнера.
and my
Мы
karmic
работаем в
partner.
этом году над тем,
We
чтобы
work this
приехать в
year
Мексику на учение
to
Геше
go
Майкла.
to Mexico to Geshe
И
Michael
вчера была наша
teachings,
встреча,
and yesterday we had
четвертая,
meeting, the
и
fourth
мы
meeting,
нашли у друг друга
and we
главное
found
препятствие,
the
которое
main
мешает
obstacle
достижению наших
in
целей.
each
Ну, мы, по
other
крайней мере, так
that
думаем.
prevent us
И
to
мы были очень
achieve
рады,
our
когда
aim.
у друг друга
And we were
открыли
very
такие
happy that we
вещи.
found these obstacles in each other.
What were the obstacles?
У нее препятствие это то,
She
что она
has
всегда
obstacles
задерживает,
that she
например,
always
если она забирает
re-
какие-то товары
retain.
из
For
заказа,
example,
то она
she buys
продлевает срок
some
хранения
goods
этих товаров,
and she
хотя, ну,
keeps
как бы сам
these
магазин
goods
находится прям рядом у нее,
and
в соседнем доме.
she
А она
doesn't bring
продлевает
the
это,
goods
она
back,
создает препятствие
and
тем,
she
что
keeps
просто склад
these
занимает
goods by her,
и время
and
сотрудников.
she
А у меня главное
like spend
препятствие
time
это
of
то, что
workers.
я, ну,
And for me,
много
my
людей отправлял в
obstacles,
черные списки.
I sent
Я все
many
время
people
тоже
to
создавал препятствия
blacklists,
такие же, как
and I
не
always
забирал товары.
created
То есть и это создает препятствия просто для
such
других
obstacles
людей.
when I
И это
when I
создает
leave
препятствия для наших целей.
goods in the shop. I
Ну, мы, по
ordered
крайней мере,
goods
так
but
думаем.
didn't take it, and we think that these are our obstacles.
Well, that's very interesting. Wow, that's an interesting correlation. Well, I'm glad you found what you think of the obstacles, and now you can purify them and hopefully have the karma ripen to go to Mexico City. It's a big city. If you've never been to Mexico City, it's 30 million people. 30 million people, a tenth of the population of the United States lives in Mexico City. That's mind-boggling. Okay, who's next? Let's see. Well, we've got a bunch of people doing recording. Let's go with Svetlana Maliuk. Do you have anything to rejoice in? Okay, let's go to Anna. Or not. Well, okay, I'll do rejoicing. Let's see, what do I want to rejoice in? My physical therapist is quite happy with my progress. She is impressed that I do the exercises at home. Most of her clients do not do the exercise except when they're with her once a week or once a month. So I'm doing the exercises every day, most every day. I take Sunday off. And she says she really sees a difference, and she doesn't tell many people that because she doesn't usually see a difference. So I'm working on it. Oh, I'm working on the presentation, the teaching we're going to give in August, and my software for transcribing, my voice recognition software stopped. So I spent about an hour with all my tricks trying to fix it. And I called Nuance and caught them just before they went home for the night and scheduled a meeting this morning with a technician that would take over my computer and see if he could solve the problem. And so this late last night, I thought there's one more thing I can do. I can uninstall the program and install it again. And sure enough, that worked. So what I'm rejoicing is I thought how to solve it myself. When the technician called at 7 in the morning, my time, I said, well, I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to find out what's wrong because I unloaded and uninstalled and reinstalled the software. And he said that's exactly what he would have done. So I'm just pleased that I was able to figure this out for myself. I didn't get mad at the software, which would have been silly. I just thought about it and tried to fix it. So I rejoice in that because I depend very much on this software. And it would have been easy in the past to get mad and get it frustrated and worried, but I didn't. So yay. What else? I think that's it. Okay. Well, so on to class. We're going to do a short contemplation to start. So please get comfortable. This is only about 5 minutes or so. It's not really a meditation, so we won't do the preliminaries. So get comfortable, close your eyes. You have fallen asleep and you start to dream. You wake up in your dream and see a yellow door on the wall at the foot of your bed. You get out of bed, put on your bathrobe, and walk to the yellow door. You're not scared. You're not scared. You're not worried about what's on the other side of the door. You're curious because you've had similar dreams in the past. You open the door and step into a dimly lit room. As you shut the door, the lights turn on, revealing a room of mirrors. The walls and ceiling are covered with mirrors. The mirrors are parallel to each other across the room, so you have that infinite reflection trick. You realize the dim lighting and then the bright lighting represents your growing knowledge of how karma works. You realize the mirrors represent your understanding that everything around you is a reflection of your deeds, good or bad. All the negative stuff in your life comes from the result of bad karmas done in the past, ripening now. And similarly for the good things that you've done. Now you realize with greater understanding that you need to extend this knowledge to how you treat others. Knowing this and being tired of the world as you see it, you realize that by keeping your refuge commitments, the 10 virtuous deeds, your pratimoksha or freedom vows, you can change the reflections into something really nice. But it's going to take hard work. The room is full of delicate glass figures, and you move through it very carefully as you make it across to the other side of the room. This represents carefully, diligently keeping your vows, knowing that this is how to get out of samsara. Okay, you can open your eyes. I'd like to add one other thing to these preliminary discussions. Verse 7 in the three principal paths. They are swept along on 4 fierce river currents, chained up tight by past deeds hard to undo, stuffed in a steel cage of grasping self, smothered in pitch black ignorance. They are swept along on 4 fierce river currents refers to the 4 sufferings: birth, old age, sickness, and death. Chained up by past deeds hard to undo, results of our ignorant habits, stuffed in a steel cage of grasping self, our selfishness, and smothered in a pitch black ignorance, totally in the dark about the very cause of our predicament. So with that cheerful note, let's go ahead and start today's class. How do we get morality and vowed morality? Can we just wish it? Do we have to work on it? Are there tools for getting it? The answer to all that is yes. We do what is called in Tibetan Tusum Gom, study, contemplate, and meditate. Then using what we have studied, contemplated, and meditated on, we change our behavior. We change habits of non-virtue to habits of virtue. Now, at the beginning, this seems reasonably simple. I mean, just stop doing bad deeds. But we're faced with the cultural norms and virtue and non-virtue. My parents used to refer to the cocktail hour. It was something they did in the 50s and 60s. 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it was the cocktail hour. It was okay to have a martini or drink beer or alcohol. It was expected. Now, I doubt they have cocktail hour in most homes, probably because they drink all the time. Smoking used to be cool. It was thought by the tobacco industry to be medicinal in the 50s. Now it's not so cool. It causes lung cancer. Marijuana has been legalized in many states in the United States, and now they're starting to find there are problems with marijuana. So we need guidelines to help us place our actions into perspective. And we need to know them so well that we can catch ourselves and stop non-virtuous actions. Given that every single circumstance of me and my world is the ripening of my karma from past deeds, toward other living beings, then logically, if I want a pleasant world, I must be pleasant to others. I must help others if I want help all the time, 24/7, 365. Doing pleasant things toward others is one way to define morality, at least in our culture. We have to constantly be thinking our past is our present and our present is our future. I can do nothing about what I did in the past, but I can make sure not to react ignorantly in the present so that I burn off the unpleasant seeds and I don't have to worry about them ripening in the future. Now, I must have done an awful lot of inconvenience in people because I'm trying to burn the seeds to have Parkinson's every day by not getting mad, by thinking maybe today I'm cured, that it's possible. And it still hasn't happened over a 7-year period. So I can give up, or I can say, okay, I burned that seed off. I'm going to burn another one off today by not getting mad. And one of these days, I will finish that last seed and I won't have Parkinson's anymore. I'm looking forward to that. I believe it's possible, and I'm trying very hard to make it happen. Now, if it doesn't happen, am I going to be upset? Does dumb karma doesn't work? No. It just means I had more seeds for Parkinson's than I thought. Jizang Kapa gives us 3 levels of morality that are necessary to make the karma to reach Buddhahood. Wishing isn't the solution. Deliberate, calculated action is the path. It is hard and it takes effort, and I would say even fierce effort to achieve it. So there are 3 moralities in the Mahayana tradition, and the order is important. Restraining from doing bad deeds, working only to do good deeds, and doing numbers 1 and 2 for the benefit of others. So restraining yourself from bad deeds and doing good deeds, dedicated to the benefit for all sentient beings. Restraining ourselves from doing bad deeds or non-virtues. Now that brings up something I've tried to figure out for many years. What's the difference between merit and virtue? We talk about the 2 bodies that merit and wisdom make, but what's the difference between merit and virtue? I believe merit is a deed. A virtuous person does meritorious things. The quality of being virtuous is something a person has. They don't have the quality of merit. They have the quality of virtue. That person's a virtuous person. That person's a non-virtuous person. A virtuous person does things with merit. A non-virtuous person does things without merit. So when I say in my refuge prayer, by the virtuous merit I create through the practice of giving with moral disciplines, giving with understanding of emptiness, etc., I'm thinking the merit that I gain by trying to be a virtuous person. Restraining ourselves from doing bad deeds. Any deed which brings you suffering as a result is a bad deed. Not only because it's against the rules or God will get mad. it's because it harms others and directly relates to my future lives. So there are two subparts to restraining from doing bad deeds. The first is the 10 top non-virtues, the major bad deeds. Can anybody give me the first three, the three of body of the 10 non-virtues? Svetlana?
Killing, stealing, sexual misconduct.
Okay, and what's killing any living being, stealing anything of value. Now, it's easy for as an individual to say, well, that's not valuable. I can take it. But it's what the person you're taking it from considers it to be valued or not. At the University of Arizona, where I worked for many years, it was considered acceptable to take a pen from the university or a pad of paper from the university home. That wasn't stealing. Now, if you took a whole package of 10 pads of paper and a box of 50 pens, no, that was not what they were talking about. What's the saying? Let me see, I'm thinking about it. Don't take that which is not given. So let's say you're at a friend's house and you want to get something from the refrigerator. It's late at night and you need something to eat. I always make sure that I have asked beforehand if it's okay if I get something out of the refrigerator. Now, it seems kind of silly. You're a friend. Why would they care? But that's why I contemplate the don't take that which is not given. It may be that when you open the refrigerator and there's an apple and you want to take it, maybe they had plans for that apple the next day. Maybe that was their breakfast. Now, this all seems very trivial. And it's trivial only that we think it is, because every little thing that you do, good or bad, is a karma, is movement of the mind and the body, actions of body and speech. Now, it seems trivial. Why would a friend care about my taking an apple? So here's a better example. Sarani's brother, Bruce, my age, has a fondness for M&Ms. I happen to also like M&Ms. And one day we were at his house with Sarani's parents, and Sarani's dad and I can eat a lot of M&Ms. And so there was a bowl of M&Ms on the coffee table while we were watching a football game. And we helped ourselves to the M&Ms because they were set out there and that's what we felt they were there for. We emptied the bowl and Bruce came out and said, "You weren't supposed to empty the bowl." And had we taken that which is not given? No, they were out there to be eaten. But what we didn't do is think about taking the effect of taking all of them. Now, that seems relatively trivial. But again, it's a matter of thinking ahead, thinking what my host had with that bowl of M&Ms. And he didn't say, "Go ahead and finish them, I'll fill it again," which would have been nice. But I have another, actually, while I'm telling stories, this is a better story. My brother and I are 15 and 14. I'm 15, he's 14. We're in Hawaii at a macadamia nut farm. And there's a big bowl. We go to the visitor center. There's this huge bowl of macadamia nuts. And because we're 15 and 14 and not the brightest bulb in the chandelier, we just go and we're watching a movie about raising macadamia nuts. And we go in and out of the movie getting handfuls of macadamia nuts, and we empty the bowl. So when we finished the movie, we went out and the bowl was no longer there. We'd probably eaten $20 worth of macadamia nuts. But just the whole point of this particular little segue was think about what you're doing. Think about how it impacts people. Think about the tiniest things. And you'll find that your life, I found my life, is much richer. Sexual misconduct, at this level, the sexual misconduct is interfering with another's committed relationship. So that's pretty straightforward. Okay, there are four of speech. What are the four of speech? Anybody?
Don't lie.
Right. Go ahead. Oh, come on, Katya, you know this.
Yes. Don't lie. Don't speak with bad words.
Yes.
And like don't speak bad of others.
Right. And one more.
Mm.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, that.
Gossip. Okay. Lying, giving false impression, lying by omission. And this, I always bring up at this point the concept of a white lie. Now, at least in in what I consider by, I say Western culture, I mean in our country, it's okay to tell white lies because your intention's good. You see somebody and you don't particularly like their outfit, their clothes, but you say, boy, that looks great on you, even though in the back of your mind you're saying, boy, that looks awful. But to make the person happy, you tell a white lie. Now, just to be clear, when I compliment somebody on something, it's because I do think it's nice. So if I compliment you on a sweater or a hat, it's because I do think it looks good on you. I'm not telling a white lie. Just wanted to clarify that. So white lie. Think for between now and next class, really stop and think and see if you find yourself telling white lies, thinking white lies. You probably won't, but you'd be surprised how often something like this will come up and you just let it go by because it's a white lie. It's okay. It's a white lie. And this brings up the concept of skillful means. Skillful means is whenever I think I go, that's my skillful means in action, I have to stop and think, did I rationalize by saying skillful means? Did I rationalize a bad behavior? So catch yourself. A white lie is rationalizing, making excuses, telling yourself it's okay. It's like saying, it's my karma, but in this instance, it isn't. Well, that's silly. It's not your karma, but it's your karma so. And we all know that. But how many times have you caught yourself thinking, well, it's my karma, but I don't need to stop at this stop sign because I'm really in a hurry. So it's my karma, but in this case, it's okay if I run the stop sign. Okay, divisive talk, speaking badly of others. Now, this is one I fight every day now that President Trump is president. I try very hard not to say something divisive. The trouble is, I'm still thinking it. So it's movement of the mind. Instead, what I try to do, I may think it, but what I try to do is think of the alternative. If he's saying he's going to do this, then try and think of why that could be a good thing in his mind. And then try and figure out what I would do in that situation. Is there plenty of money to be cut from the bloated government, U.S. government budget? Sure. Is shutting down the Department of Education the solution? No. So what is the solution? The solution is to have a better grip on the money and how it's spent. So I need to make sure that I'm spending money properly and helping others spend money properly and dedicating that so that I see money being spent properly by our government. Harsh words. Harsh words is in my mind, profanity. Now, there are times when profanity expresses an emotion quite properly. But usually, profanity is something that the person uses all the time. I worked with a colleague who used to use a particular word all the time. And I brought home one day after working with him for several months, I came home and said that inappropriate word. And my wife, who's all of 105 pounds and is 5'2", I'm a full foot taller than her. And she looked at me and she said, "We don't use that language in this house." And I said, "Yes, ma'am." By the way, that's the solution to 49 years of connubial bliss. Just say, "Yes, ma'am." That's my advice for anybody who wants a long marriage. We're going to have been married 49 years and on March 21st. So next year, we have to figure out what we're going to do next year for our anniversary. Okay, the last of non-virtues of speech is useless talk. Useless talk is defined as gossip. I don't, well, the usual example of useless talk is people getting together at work around coffee pot or teapot and waiting for the tea or coffee to brew. They just bring up something like, "Did you see that football game? Or have you watched this movie?" So I don't have much in the way of useless talk advice. Make sure what you're saying has some meaning to it. It doesn't mean you can't discuss the football scores or what would be, or politics, but make it meaningful. Don't complain, make it meaningful. Okay. Then there's the three of mind. Who can give me the three of mind? Svetlana?
Oh, Ekaterina might want to share.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Katerina, go ahead.
Алчность и зависть, когда мы не радуемся за что-то хорошее.
We are not happy about other people.
Недоброжелательность, когда мы
Some
злорадство, когда
angry when we are not
радуемся,
happy.
что что-то плохое произошло.
When we're happy that something bad is going on with person. And the last is ignorant thinking, when we don't understand how the world exists.
Very good. Very good. Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself. Maybe I did say that. coveting, jealousy, wanting that which another has. Ill will, let's see, jealousy. Do I have a jealous bone in my body? I don't think. Well, my standard example of this one is when Geshe Michael thanks somebody for something I did in my presence. And I don't get jealous. He knows that I did it. And that's all that really counts. The rest of the world knowing doesn't matter. But I will admit when he first started doing this to me in classes, well, that's not absolutely true. The first time he did it to me in class, I just smiled and thought to myself, well, he knows that I did that. So that's all that matters. Ill will, being happy when something bad happens to someone else. I have to be careful with this with President Trump. I don't want much of his legislation to go through, but I have to be careful not to being happy when it doesn't pass. This is going to be a struggle for 4 years. I'm not sure how well I'll do. Wrong view, believing you cannot reach total enlightenment, not believing in karma and emptiness, not believing specifically in, and I think this one's believing specifically in past and future lives. If you don't believe in past and future lives, then you don't believe in karma. And if you don't believe in karma, you're just not a Buddhist. So okay. If we believe karma is not true, it could be the trigger that we might use to rationalize the other 9 actions being somehow okay. So what are the 10 virtues? I like teaching the 10 virtues if I'm going to teach the 10 non-virtues. So the 3 of body are protecting life, respecting others' belongings and time, honor others' personal relationships. Stealing is a good, another stealing time. I think that's a very important one. Stealing time, wasting other people's time. I try to be on 5 or 10 minutes early instead of what my mother used to call fashionably late. I try to be early, especially to doctor's appointments. I don't like doctors having to wait on me. And I may wait an hour for a doctor, but they're giving the care to the patient in front of me in line that I'm hoping to receive when I see them. So think about time. If you catch yourself, if you are habitually late to doing things, stop and think about what the karma is going to be for you to have ripened in your future if you disregard other people's time. Getting stuck in traffic would be the karmic ripening for ignoring other people's time, wasting other people's time. And the third one of body is honoring other personal relationships. 4 of speech, always being honest and truthful, being careful not to hurt others in doing so. Now, we have a phrase in English, brutally honest. That's where you say something that's going to hurt somebody, but it's true. You need to be honest, but you need to be careful. So if someone asks your opinion, instead of saying, what you're doing is idiotic, you might say, well, here's another way you could do that. speaking kindly of others. Think how others will hear your words. Nicknames. Praising others instead of criticizing. Praising others, bringing together, speak pleasantly, supportively. Gossip. Speak with purpose. Speak with purpose so you will have the karma to others speak that way as well. And I add, to covering all three of these, is listen the way you want to be heard. If you want people to look at you when you're talking and go, oh, that's a good idea, versus looking around thinking, what's for dinner? And you can tell when people are not interested in what you have to say. I can tell when students are not interested. They go to their phone. I'm kidding. Actually, I should start banning phones in my live teaching. I'm going to have to remember to do that. Anyway, 3 of mind. Be content with what you have. Understand how to get what you need. What do we mean by that? If you need a new computer, help someone else get a new item that they want. It doesn't have to be a computer. It could be a piece of clothing. Helping them get what they want will help you ripen the karma to get what you want. It's so one-to-one, so straightforward. Be responsible to yourself and your own actions. Be glad you know the key to reaching enlightenment, perceiving emptiness directly, and pursue it as a goal. Now, there's a second part to not doing bad deeds, and that's the vowed morality. More specifically, taking a vow and keeping it as best you can. So why do we call them the pratimoksha or the freedom vows? What is it about these vows that would make sense to call them freedom vows? If you follow these vows, they will take you to your freedom. So there are 8 kinds. The first 2 are lifetime layman's vows, and lifetime laywoman's vows. And the 5 lifetime layperson's vows would be another way to say it. Not killing a human or human fetus, not stealing anything of value, not lying about your spiritual realizations, not committing adultery, not taking alcohol or intoxicants. Now you say to yourself, where did Lord Buddha actually state this? This is from chapter 4, section 38 of the Abhidhamma Kosha. This is Lord Buddha. Whoever claims I am their teacher must never drink so much as a drop of alcohol that would fit on the tip of a blade of grass. Once you consider yourself your teacher, you may not drink alcohol, and you may not serve it to another. Once a person takes alcohol, I'm no longer their teacher, and he is not my follower. This statement was made only to say that the effects of alcohol, like that of poison, are so uncertain that it's quite certain one should avoid taking even a small amount as fits on the tip of a blade of grass. This is considered to be one of the 4 harmful deeds of the body. Here's a list you don't see. 4 harmful deeds: taking life, stealing, sexual misconduct, and using intoxicants. So, What if your job is a waitress or a waiter? What do you do about serving alcohol? If you don't serve it in a restaurant where you're required to, you're going to get fired. So this is where skillful means comes in. You know you've taken the 5 lifetime layperson vows. And when I give them, only in very rare occasions do I give them, can you cherry pick which ones you want? I give all 5. So what about you're a waitress or a waiter serving alcohol in a restaurant? Try and find a job where you don't need to do that. Talk to the manager and say, I have a vow against serving alcohol. Can I please not have to do it? And maybe they'll agree. Now, if it takes you a while to find a new job, you're trying to not serve alcohol by getting a job that doesn't require it. If you have that motivation, then I would argue you're not violating your rules of not taking or using intoxicants. That's a delicate situation. Okay. The one-day vows. One-day vows, there are 8 Mahayana precepts you can take as a Mahayana practitioner. The first 4 are primary vows of morality. No sexual activity, no stealing, no killing human or human fetus, no lying. The 4 secondary, not drinking alcohol, not sleeping on a high bed, not go dancing, singing, playing music, not eating after noon. Novice monk has 36 vows. Fully ordained monk has 253. Novice nun is 36. Intermediate nun is 42. And fully ordained nun is 364. It's best to have taken one of these sets of vows before the Bodhisattva vows, but a deep intention and desire to practice avoiding the 10 non-virtues is all right as well. You need to remember, as we're going through these vows, you need to remember, do not think of them as restrictions. Think of them as positive, the keys to liberation. Now, that was the first morality of not doing bad deeds. The second morality is a morality of collection good deeds, aimed at gathering an extraordinary level of merit and wisdom necessary to reach Buddhahood. So there are 2 great masses or collections. There's tap and sherab. Tap is method, sherab is wisdom. Method is a collection of deeds to achieve the physical body of a Buddha. Wisdom, collection of wisdom that results in the mind of a Buddha. Together, this equals the 6 perfections. The first 4 are method, the last 2 are wisdom. So method, perfection of giving, 4 types: material, shelter, love and compassion, and the Dharma. That's the perfection of giving. I add love and compassion. I think usually it's taught as 3 types of giving. I add love and compassion because I think that's an important characteristic of how you give. Moral discipline, vows, pratimoksha vows, refuge commitments, perfection of patience, not getting angry when you normally would, tolerance, joyous effort, perfection of joyous effort, having a good time doing good deeds that will lead you to enlightenment. My example for joyous effort was as I've said many a time, and I will repeat, I couldn't get up early enough or stay late enough for work for most of my career as a scientist. There was one hellish 6 months where I hated going to work. I didn't want to go to work. And I couldn't wait to take my full hour lunch. When I was in most of my career, I didn't take lunch. I was having too much fun. I wanted to work the entire day. And then with this particular job, it turned out I was working for a corrupt lab manager. And when I found that out, I had signed a contract that said I would be there for at least 6 months. So I wasn't going to quit. This is before I became a Buddhist. I just knew I wouldn't quit because I'd signed the contract. But oh man, that was not a pleasant 6 months in my life. I'm surprised I didn't get an ulcer. So wisdom is concentration, meditation, and wisdom understanding emptiness. The third morality, working for the good of all living beings by not doing bad deeds and by doing only good deeds. So how do the vows, vows of morality fit into the three moralities? The pratimoksha vows, not hurt others. If you follow the pratimoksha vows carefully, you're not hurting others, you're not doing bad deeds. The bodhisattva vows, the 6 perfections, vow to help all others. And the tantric vows that, if kept purely, will get you enlightened in this lifetime. This is something to contemplate. Leading a moral life without vows is not as powerful as doing so with vows. But the downside of breaking vows, especially tantric vows, generates powerful bad karma. So upside is that most of the tantric vows are hard to break completely. Most of the vows are hard to break if you're a moral person. I'm going to have to take a break here for a minute. I will be right back. Okay, sorry about that. 4 considerations for taking vows. If you take vows from somebody else who already has them, the advantage is that you have a desire to live up to their scrutiny and expectation. It keeps you motivated. So if you take vows from me or my lovely wife or Geshe Michael, by taking the vows, you now have developed a responsibility towards the person that you took them from to be sure that you live up to their scrutiny and expectations. Another consideration with taking vows is pure motivation. You take vows after listening to a thorough discussion on why you should take them. Now, the Bodhisattva vows are the one set of vows that you get to know the vows in very great detail before you take them. The tantric vows, you You just accept that you're going to follow them. You don't get to know what they are until you've said you'll follow them. They're fixable. Most vows are repairable. Vows can be damaged, but most can be fully restored. This doesn't mean you should break the vows because they can be repaired. And fourth, committed. If you commit to the idea, you have the first two considerations and you won't break the vows in the first place. It's like marriage vows. Yes, you can live together and have everything that a marriage would be, but by taking the vows, marriage vows, that means you're really committed to make the marriage work. Because if you're living together, it's much easier to separate. But if you're married, it's more difficult. So in my mind, that makes it so that you don't think about getting a divorce because you're committed to making the marriage work. That's easy for me to say. I've been married for almost 49 years and I've been very happy. So I guess maybe I can't speak from experience. Two groups of bodhisattva vows. There are 18 root downfalls, and then there are 46 secondary vows. They're called root downfalls because the consequence of breaking them is heavier than the secondary vows. They're also harder to break than the secondary vows. Secondary vows are more detailed on the primary or root vows. In older times, the bodhisattva vows were given as a wish, and then after study, you took them in the form of action. Now, most often, we give them both at the same time. So how do you break a bodhisattva vow? There are 4 conditions that must be met to break 16 of the 8 root downfalls. If all 4 are not present, then the vow is not broken. We're going to discuss this in greater detail in the next class. The last item for today. Geshe addresses rumors that once you have a tantric initiation, you no longer have to follow the lower moralities. This is absolutely wrong. And he gives a very famous quote. The quote is, Geshe says that this wrong idea cuts the roots of the Buddha's teachings and is like a great rain of hail that destroys the tender crops of the happiness of all living kind. It reflects a total failure to grasp both the higher and lower teachings, an absolute misconception that should be thrown away like so much garbage. In the Source of All My Good meditation, in the Bodhisattva room, there's a bonsai tree that represents your vows. Then a bonsai tree has roots, a trunk, and leaves and branches. The root are your refuge commitments, your pratimoksha vows. The trunk is your bodhisattva vows. And the leaves and branches are your tantric vows. If the plant's going to survive, it needs the roots to be healthy. But the roots can't get to the leaves if it can't get through a healthy trunk. So the analogy is each of the sets of vows or commitments you make grow upon the one before. Okay. The analytical meditation for this class, do the meditation on the 3 sets of vows, how they relate. Okay, let's dedicate. By the goodness of what we've just done, may all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the two ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make. I resolve as my dedication that I will free all those who have yet to be freed. I will save all those who have yet to be saved. I will comfort all those with no comfort, and I will deliver all beings to the place beyond grief. I pray in all my lives, never may I live apart from my perfect lamas. May I bask in the glory of the Dharma. May I fulfill perfectly every good quality of every level and path, and reach then quickly the place where I become myself, the keeper of the diamond. Okay, we'll see you on, no, I'm not seeing you this Monday because I have a doctor's appointment. So we'll see you a week from today. That gives you plenty of time to do your homeworks and quizzes and get those done. Thank you for this chance to teach you all. It's the highlight of my Thursday. Okay. Have a good week.
Bye, Lama Sumati.
Goodbye. Hi, Mike.
Hey, thank you.